Is your neighbor named Rain?
Let's not give it loud for everybody for Anthony Eugenio. We're up your next time. Very funny. Wayne Russell, everybody.
Welcome to the Open Mic Pain with Anthony and Wayne podcast.
Oh, hello everybody, and welcome to an Open Mic Pain with Anthony and Wayne, and we got a really special one tonight, everybody. We are doing a 9-month check-in / postpartum about our comedy career, and we thought no better person to bring on than Mr. Justin George. How you doing, buddy?
That was as I expected it to be.
That's right.
That was a great answer. I knew something. Yeah, that was great.
Adrenaline bringing. And then I want to introduce, everybody knows Wayne, but Wayne, real quick, can you turn your head to the right? As you guys can see, his neck beard is starting to connect to the back of his head like the Bering Strait of Russia across into China. And it's fucking disgusting. How you doing, Wayne?
I was doing okay, but after that, I'm kind of sad it's the 9 months because I would have aborted this a long time ago.
Well, you've certainly given up on the relationship, judging by your appearance. Okay, so we, tonight, want to go over the goals we went through on our 4-month check-in, where we were contemplating giving up, basically, and see where we got to now with 9 months. And Justin's been with us the entire time, so basically, his goals line up with ours a bit. But we want to ask him how his 9 months has gone. So why don't we start there? Justin, tell us about your first 9 months in comedy. Give us like you're getting shot in the face by a guy in an alley and your life flashing before your eyes.
Okay. I don't know if I saw you guys first, or I don't think I saw you guys. I think I bumped into you guys after the fact. Started going to the safe. I think I was progressing pretty well. Didn't really know as many spots. I think my first 9 months has gone as it should. But it doesn't feel like it at times if I kind of like sit on the outside, look at it. I think if somebody else was telling me how their first 9 months went and they said what I said, it would probably be, I think that's a win. As far as getting confidence on stage, getting to know more people, and I think that the first 6 months or so was just like trying to get into the deep end and see what you can do and say. Just kind of get more. I think it's just more of a comfort level, and now I think it's at the point where I need to do more homework, and that's where we've left off last as far as talking where we're at.
Yeah, I thought I wanted to bring up today what was very interesting is when you're in the trenches of comedy, how time feels different. Like, for instance, before we started comedy, I bet if I asked any of you guys, if I said, here's a scenario, you're going to spend the first couple years really honing your craft of comedy, and then you're really going to start getting into some booked shows and start going to the circuit from there. I think all of us would be like, yeah, that makes sense. That sounds exactly how it's supposed to go, and all that sounds good. But us, like 4 months in to now even, every day we're like, why am I not getting booked? You just feel that way no matter what. So it's weird how time feels. Because if you told me like, hey, you're only 9 months in, it's like a year and 3 months before you really should even be thinking about getting booked, I'd tell you to go fuck yourself. What do you think, Wayne?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely differences when you're talking book shows. We've talked about that before. There's a big difference between, these theaters or like the Wicked Funny that like Chris Flahive and Mike Atrobus are putting on, versus some of the booked shows that some of our peers are putting on, some of the people that are right around where we are, 9 months or a little more, or sometimes even way more, but they're just putting on their own shows. I think there's a little bit of a difference there. I think one's a little more based on merit, I guess, where you have to send a tape or whatever, and these other ones, some of the shows that we see around the Lowell area, it's because people are seeing you all the time. You know the people putting on the shows, and they like you, and so I kind of lost my train of thought there. But there are different versions of book shows, and I think where we are, some of those would really apply. Where we are, some of them would not apply.
I haven't been. I don't think I've been thinking so much as like I should get booked. I think I've been like more like I'd rather be over prepared. Like I'd rather get late into the game of getting booked shows because I would be better. So it's more of if I'd rather get found instead of, you know what I mean, like sell myself out or try to, advertise as much as possible. When it's more I'd rather take my time and work on what I got to work on.
Yeah, of course, that's 100% right answer. But that's like saying eating broccoli is exactly how you should eat. Like, yeah, but I love gummy bears. And it's wrong. I love booked shows. Even they're the gummy bears of fucking comedy for me right now. That's for goddamn sure. But I don't know. We're trying. We're getting out there. So your first 9 months, I think, has gone well. If people haven't known, we went to the Burn. You won the Burn. That was cool. You got awesome tape out of that with a great crowd. Wayne, in his first 9 months, did the Wicked Funny show that he's talked about. And that got him great tape, good crowd, all that. So I think that, for me, that would probably be my first goal in the first year would be to get in front of a crowd like you guys got and doing shows like that. That seems like an awesome way to start into it. So you're in the lab now, writing and refining and all that. What is your goal for like the next, let's call it like 3 months, with that in mind?
I think I'm gonna. I brainstorm all the time. Our text chains are ridiculous as far as just like, hey, this is funny, right? It's nonstop. I've been doing a lot of brainstorming ideas, but I haven't been organizing it into sets. I'm just doing it. I'm like, oh, I like this joke, and then I fuck around with it, and then I try it, and then, oh, that would be a cool one, and then throughout the week, I got more stuff like, oh, I really want to try these ones. So I'm not. I think I said it to you guys last week. Like, I'm getting better because I'm doing more comedy, but my material isn't getting better because I'm not doing it frequently enough to get kind of that, like, a rhythm with it. Like, I do it and go, oh, that was cool, that was fun, now try another one. So I think when I talk about, like, trying to, like, organize it, I'm going to look at all my stuff, and I'm going to, not that I think it's worthy, but I'm going to try to make it like a special in a linear way so I can look at it so I can go, all right, that's a 5 minute, I'm going to work on that 5. Pull it out, put it back, pull it out, put it back, instead of just trying a bunch of different stuff. And some stuff, obviously, you toss out. But I think I need, like, I think I'm doing it, like, aimless now, where if I have somewhat of a structure, I can go, all right, I have to do this on Tuesday, I'm going to do this on Thursday. And then it's like a progress thing. If I have it on a wall, then I can follow along with it. And I've been trying to do more. Again, the first 6 months of getting comfort, it's also just like I'm having fun. Yeah. So I think now is more I'm trying to, it sounds lame, but like put more homework in. And
I know exactly what you mean. I mean, that's the way that I've been, I guess, on the preparing a similar set and trying to build and refine off of it. That's been a style of mine after the first couple months. But the first couple months I did it, though, I remember going to Free Street in Portland a bunch of times. And I was like, oh, I got to write a new 5 minutes every week because I'm going to go there at least every other week. And I got to have a new 5 minutes for it. So that was like, because I didn't want them to see it again. And now I'm realizing that you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable with your set. Meaning like going up and going, hey, listen, I know that you guys have heard this, but I need the reps. And I need to just turn it over and get what works and what doesn't and feel it out and see. Because every time you do a joke, at least I do, I know that when I listen back to it, there's a spot in it that I'm like, oh, wow, it popped there. I didn't know it popped there because I emphasized differently or something. You just need to do that because you're refining. It's not for the comics that are at the open mics. It's for a crowd eventually. So, I can see if you're getting booked at a show and you're in Boston 3 nights in a row and you do the same set a bunch of times. That's not going to work. But,
Yeah, well, when I talk about wanting to be on book shows, it's not because I think I'm good enough to. It's I want that real crowd. I don't want the same crowd. Because no matter where you go, you still get a percentage of people that know your jokes, unless you're doing something brand new. But there are people that have heard Dick Talk and my dad's old porn bit and my my sex change bit, and like that, people know that. So I don't feel like I'm getting a like true feedback unless I really make a change to it that's substantial. You know what I mean? So
No, I'm laughing now because at the time I was thinking of other stuff, like writing down stuff. So when you said get in front of, like, I want book shows, I just made you guys look like selfish pricks, and I'm like, no, I just want to have fun. And I made it sound like you guys are like, I deserve to be on a show, which is not what I meant.
No.
Now you're like, oh, I just want to be in front of people. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I say that. We were talking earlier. We were on Jacques and Joe's podcast, Carnival Personnel, and we kind of had that conversation. And I said the same thing. I want to be on more book shows, but I didn't articulate it quite as much as I would have liked to. And like I said, it's not for any other reason than I would like to see how my jokes are doing in front of a real crowd. When I do go to some of these open mics and I see people that I know are not comics, I tend to like really pay attention to the looks on their faces and the reactions they have. You may not get the uproarious laughter from the whole room, but the way they react speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird how we have a propensity too to, when we see a comic that's doing a bit that he does every time that you see him, to like, you're like, oh, again with the same set, Jesus Christ, man. But I mean, that's how you do it. I feel so bad but that's the instinct that you have when you see it so many times, because it's natural to feel that way. Any natural person who hears something so many times loses the intrigue to it. But it's also why it's hard to do it yourself. That's why, like Justin was saying in the beginning, you want to try new jokes every week because you don't want to, one, do jokes again, but two, you want to make it exciting for yourself because you want to see if they work and all that. And I have never seen as many jokes in a joke book as Justin has. That is fucking like a Christopher Nolan script. That thing is dense.
That thing's like a manifesto.
And there's a million jokes in there.
Insane.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think I'm some of them repeat, but I think I'm close to like, I mean, it's more like brainstorming things, but it's up to, I think it's close to like 500 notes, 500 different ideas.
That's insane. Yeah, everything in my book I have to use.
I have a lot of time on my hands, and I'm just friends with myself.
Hey, doing the work, as Seinfeld would say.
When we were talking about like the frequency of doing the bit, I think I realized it afterwards, where after the burn, well, at first going up, I was doing a bunch of sets randomly. And then when we found out we were going to do the burn, then I was like, all right, I got to nail down that 5-minute set. And that's all I did. And then I was like, I fucking hate this set. And then I went back to the other way. So instead of like having 6 sets that I'm rotating to work on, I either went whatever I want or one set. There was no in between. So I think that's my next goal of doing that. I'm going to lay it out, like try to figure out a 30-minute, 60-minute set for myself. Not actually think I can do it, but lay it out that way.
Stuff that you can like cherry pick from.
Right. And then not only that, but what I've also, learned as you first start going, that, this set that I'm going to do, I shouldn't do it in this room. This is not the room to do this set. So then I can go, all right, I can rotate that one out and do the other one instead. And just kind of like have a rolling system of it.
I like that idea. Yeah.
It's tougher than I thought too, material-wise, because I remember in our 4-month check-in, I was like, yeah, I mean, we just had done a 10-minute set at that point. Like I did 2 in the week we did that around there, I think. And I had 5 other minutes, and I'm like, yeah, I got like 15 minutes, so I hope to have more when we get to the 9-month set. But now I'm like, I have like 10 minutes. And I barely have 10 minutes. So that's really the thought that I've had getting farther along, is how much less that I actually have. Because
sorry to cut you off, but you're right, because as you go and you write more jokes and you see what works and what doesn't, you start abandoning some stuff, some ideas. You're like, oh man, that's what I had back then, but now that I have this, I don't need that anymore because it's not that good in comparison. So you do
there's stuff for the shelf where you put it away and you're like, I got 5 minutes and I'm going to put it there and add on top, like Justin was saying, wants to build off of. But sometimes you get to the 10-minute and you're like, my foundation's kind of shit. I'm going to start again. Mm-hmm. That stuff. Like I have, Which I like Dr. AIDS, the bit that I have there. Like, I like the bit, but it just doesn't feel like it's going to go with anything I'm doing now. And I don't know how to fit it in there anymore. And that's like one of the things where I'm like, well, that's a 2-minute part of my act that I don't even think I actually have. Like, it's like a break glass and in case of emergencies bit now.
Yeah. We might have kind of touched upon it a little bit, but so Justin, you're pretty much caught up with how you've come along in the last 9 months.
I think we kind of laid it out with like what's going on to a degree. I mean, not detailed, but progression.
Yeah. Anthony, for the last 5 months since we recorded that 4-month check-in, what major things have happened for you that you could say is kind of a highlight of your last 5 months?
Just broadly, we got me and you, and we've been asked to do shows since that podcast, and that's what we wanted more than anything else. Was like, can someone just say, "Will you do this?" And we get to go, "Yes,
Yep.
yes."
That
so
actually
happens.
was one of our goals, so we checked that off.
We did. We checked off one of our goals, so that was really cool. Just to be out there enough where someone thinks about you for a performance. That's really cool. I would say too, in that time, obviously, I think the burn was after our 4-month check-in, wasn't it?
Quite a bit after, yeah.
Yeah. So we did the burn, and that was a good experience of really honing in on 5 minutes for a particular setup and unleashing it to at least 3/4 of not comics in a room, which was pretty cool. So all that was big parts to what we needed to do. I hit my first slump. Yeah, I think we all were in a slump there, which was cool. So that didn't happen the first 4 months.
Yeah, I think we all hit it at the same time. All three of us were just talking about that the other night.
You guys like just now, recently you're talking about?
Yeah.
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 Postpartum depression.
Yeah.
I have fit in there somewhere. I knew I would. Yeah, we basically have all at the same time. We synced up, and we got kind of down on comedy for a couple weeks, but we'll all speak for ourselves on it. But for me in particular, I was just like, I was looking at what did well in the scene and what was getting like I guess rewarded, and I'm like, I'm not good at that. So you start to doubt yourself a bit. Where you're like, what they're looking for, I might not be able to give them. And it's not like what they want is a bad thing. It's just we're doing kind of different stuff. Like, how much cunt used as a word is there out there besides us? I don't know how much there is. It feels like we're the alt scene of that. So it's just natural to feel that way. But Justin slapped me in the face with words by saying, you haven't done enough to worry about that yet.
Yeah.
That's so true.
No, I think it was almost where we're at, considering 9 months. I think if you compared it to others, I think we've had more success than the average person doing 9 months. Success not meaning I'm funnier than other people, but in 9 months being able to go to X amount of mics. You guys are on a podcast. I'm on a podcast right now, 9 months in, talking about comedy. That doesn't happen to everybody in 9 months. We were in contests, shows. We've been asked to go to places and to do a mic. We're networking. So I think we're actually at 9 months outside looking in. We're ahead, but we don't. I mean, obviously, but at the same time, all three of us at the same time are doing this, which means we're not content with just going around and we're like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be. We want to do comedy, so to us, it's like we're not doing enough right now. So, not saying don't put more work into it now, but I think we cut ourselves some slack that in 9 months we had a 3-week run that wasn't great. I think we could live with it.
Yeah, I think the ultimate goal is just to have fun. I mean, I don't think any of us are expecting to end up with a Netflix special or a YouTube special or whatever. But there you go. All right, 2 of us are not No, all right. One of us is not expecting to end up with a Netflix special, but you know, for me, it's I really just want to have fun, and as long as that fun doesn't stop, then I'm all aboard. But when you hit those slumps, sometimes it's not fun. You know, the second guessing and the doubt. But you got to trudge through that.
We've had this conversation before where during that span when I was down, I don't mind just doing like comedy, but just like, you know, life happens and stress is going on and shit like that. And when we talked about how do you try to be funny when you don't feel funny?
Yeah.
And as much as, like, last week, I don't know if you guys have already covered it or whatnot about the mic.
Nope.
And okay, so just by going, made me like, all right, I really do, I need to do this. Because as much as I was in that slump of comedy, just the shit that's going on in your life, that going to that, I was so, like, I remembered it. Like, sounds dumb, but when I went there, I wasn't thinking of anything else. And I just sat and watched comedy, which is why we want to do it. So, like, I can't not fall in love with it again, but I remembered, like, oh, I'm down, but I need to do this so that I'm not down, so I keep doing it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a work thing for sure. Like, it feels like it's like going to the gym. Like, you don't want to do it, and then when you go there, you have a great time doing it. And you're like, why do I not want to fucking force myself to do this? And
Right.
that's what comedy is every time with it.
That's what made me think about laying out that 60-minute set like that, because if you just say, I'm going to the gym twice this week, that doesn't mean anything. But if you go, I'm going to the gym on Tuesday and Thursday, I'm doing this routine on Tuesday and this routine on Thursday, then you're committed to it. And if you keep doing that routine for a month, you can look at progress and go, oh, I'm pushing more weight now. So if I have something that I can see, then it's a reason for me to keep going, which is why you want to keep doing it.
Yeah. We say it's a muscle all the time, and it really is. Repetitions are definitely the way to go to improve.
You know what I don't think we said last time for a goal that I would like to add to future goals, so have the magistrate market, is go to more shows. That's it. Like, me and Justin are going to Jesselneck, like, not even just local shows, because local shows, of course, that's how you get booked. As nothing, I know you said in the beginning that there are some shows that are booked on merit. No, there isn't. There is none. It's all about washy, Jackie, and you go to everybody that you can, and you give it to them. And hey, that's just how it goes. I get it. Like, if I'm booking shows and there's a million people that want to be on the show, you know, you book the people you know. And you think if we don't book a show that we're not going to book Justin and like as many people that we know as we can? Just is how it is. So you got a network.
That is true. And that actually was one of the goals I was going to bring up for myself as well. And I've been trying to. I've gone to the Luna a bunch of times. I went to Nashua Center for the Arts, I think it was, and I saw Mike Katrobis, Steve Bjork, and Chris Zito. And yeah, it is nice to do something like that and network and meet those people. But watching some of those guys actually work in the way that they write their jokes, it's really helpful. You know, like I saw Steve Bjork at the Luna. The first time I went to the Luna, he did a joke. We'll just say it's about an ultrasound. I don't want to give the joke away. But he did that joke, and it was brand new to him. And he did it, messed up, and said, hey, I'm working on this. We're starting over. And two people walked into the theater as he said that. So he said the joke to them again, and he did it right that time. But then I saw him do it a couple weeks ago. So what's that, 3 months later? And that joke had transformed into something so insanely funny. It was funny to begin with, but what he did to it, I don't know, man. It's like a pipe dream to think of something I have now, being able to turn it into something in the same expansion as he did. But it's nice to go to these shows and watch that stuff happen when you see some of the same people over and over again.
I had a similar experience to that, but I also wanted to go to some more shows. But since we started comedy, I haven't gone to a headlining, like a large show. So leading up to the Burn competition, when it was your guys' show, there was comics that went up. And one of them was Orlando Baxter. And he went for 10 minutes, I think, 10 or 15 there. and it was hilarious. But there was 10 of us in the crowd, maybe. He was hilarious. Bang! It was quick hitting. I was like, wow, this guy's quick. And that was it. And then you guys, your competition went on. Well, I went to Comics Come Home, and Orlando Baxter opened for Comics Come Home for a packed TD Garden. So, and he did the same set. So it was so wild to be like, I just heard this same stuff, and there was 10 of us, and now there's 10,000. And it was so, it was really like, holy shit, it works. So that was that was motivation, but also the speed that that professional comics, because I've gone to open mics over and over again. Then when you see pros do it in person, you're like, wow, these guys are fast. I mean, it's a laugh track. It's just something happening every 6 seconds. It was insane.
Yeah, again, that's why I'm pumped about seeing Jesselnick this week, because being ingratiated where we are in the scene, we don't see a lot of people like him. And I want to see that dark edge of comedy put in front of a Boston crowd and done quickly and right. Because if you told me that I was going to Jungle Mike or some shit like that, in that style, and they were going to pack it with people from the area, and you were like, do baby kill jokes for the whole time and get them to think it's funny, I'd shit my pants. There's no way I'd be able to fucking do it. But I know Jesselnick could fucking do it. I know he would kill in there.
Here's the thing on that. Do you think you could take some of your jokes, go in front of Jesselnick's crowd, and get a laugh? Because there's a big difference between people going to the Jungle Mic or any other open mic versus a crowd of people that are there to see Jesselnick because he has that dark humor. There might be some stragglers that go, I've heard about this guy. He's funny. Let me go. And have no idea that he's going to talk about fucking a dead grandmother or something like that.
Yeah, casino shows are where you see that shit. Because if Jesselnick goes to Mohegan Sun and he goes up there, there's going to be half of them that are old ladies that got comped those tickets that are going to be like, oh my heavens. Yeah, no, I am. You are right though, but I want to say I'd go up there and do my jokes and they would work in front of the crowd, and then I'm like, I don't fucking know. Every time I think it's gonna go well, it never goes well, and every time I think it's gonna go horrible, it goes well. So I don't fucking know anything about comedy, unfortunately. I just know that people can suck and get a ton of laughs on a good night. So I really don't know.
That is true.
I think it's just about, is the crowd primed for comedy? If it is, then you got to lose them. And is the crowd not primed for comedy? You got to get them. So those are just two different types of doing it. And I think the more we do the got to get them, the easier it's going to be later to impress the people you need to impress to move up the ladder. Because I don't know how much individually being funny matters to the crowd. Let me unpack it a bit. What I mean by that is, I think there are a ton of people who suck at comedy who are literally high-level A-list professional comedians. And I mean suck at comedy in the sense of I don't think anything they say is funny. But I think that put in front of primed audiences, done good enough to impress your peers, you can work your way up the ladder that way. Like Amy Schumer. Is the leather special funny at all? Is any of those jokes funny? Is one of those jokes funny? Could you even smirk at one of those jokes? You can't. It's so bad. It's so bad. We're going to do a top 5 worst comics, and I'm brushing up on them. It's fucking, oh my goodness. But she went every day. She worked at the craft. She put in the time, and she did good enough to work your way up the ladder. So I really think that's what matters. It's more about repetition, being there, and, like I said earlier, Jackie.
I guess we'll move on a little bit. Getting a little long in the tooth on this part. Real quick, for me, in the last 5 months, the couple things that stood out to me was a couple weeks after we recorded that episode, I actually ended up on doing that class with Mike. We've talked about it a bunch. Wicked Funny, North Andover. That was a night that changed my view on what comedy could be for me. It was a night where there was 60-plus people that weren't comics laughing at shit I said, which felt amazing. Then there was a couple other things. I did a show for Matt Clark down in Webster, Mass. It's just a guest spot. He needed somebody. I messaged him. He's like, yep, come on down. So that was kind of cool. And then that show we did together a couple weeks ago. Those are kind of like the things. And then the burn was an experience. I don't want to relive, but it was an experience. But yeah, I mean, you know, it was definitely a step in the right direction, I think, for feeling like I'm making improvements, I guess. So, speaking of improvements, we'll start with you, Justin. We don't have a gauge for you from the 4-month mark, but just in general, from when you started to now, do you have anything that you feel like you really worked on or off the stage that I don't know, that you're proud of, or you know, something that really sticks out to you that you've improved on?
I think my comfort level and confidence on stage. I think a lot of times you see someone go up and they start, and you can tell like they're nervous, or like if they're not sold on their own shit, you can kind of tell. I don't think I give that out. I think when I'm up there, I'm committed to this is funny. I'm never thinking like, is this funny? This is funny to me. Let's see if anybody else thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
Instead of worrying about how it's going, so I feel like I'm pretty confident about it.
I agree with you on that. Now, the only time I saw you not so confident was at the Brick.
Yeah,
which
I wasn't confident 15 minutes before my set. I think I just said, "Yeah, I'm done," and I walked away.
Yeah, I was standing there because they're 10-minute sets at the Brick. Actually, I don't know if you heard, the Brick is on hiatus, possibly coming back in February. But I was standing there expecting another like 6-7 minutes, and all of a sudden he's like, I'm done, and I was going on right after. I was like, I guess I'm making my way to the front. But I haven't seen anything like that from you since then. I feel like you definitely seem more confident in what
He's had the
saying.
confidence since day one too, though, in a lot of ways. Like he wore a fucking diaper at the safe like pretty early into his comedy career, and confidently.
That is very true.
I would say that
I still have a box of 18 diapers. They only sold them in sets of 20.
So if you're booking a tour,
I have to do that joke. But that's one of my goals for 2024. I'm gonna do that joke 18 more times minimum.
There you go. Or you piss yourself a couple times like that. That's fine too.
Well, that's where the other one I used was.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else? Anything else you feel you've? And I have one for you for improvements. I have one for you if you don't say it.
Yeah, you do it. You tell it.
So a thing that I have improved on?
Yeah, something you think that you've worked through in the last 9 months?
I think the way that I do comedy when I'm not on a mic. So how I operate, how I write, how I think. The work that but that's more, you do that as you go, not like I set a goal out to improve that way. I think it just happened by attrition that I tried this and this does work or this doesn't work. And I've learned more when it doesn't work or when I fuck up. And I'm cognizant of it, like, I didn't do that right or whatever.
So that's kind of what I was going to say for you, was I've noticed the times I've seen you as of late, the last couple months, versus the when we first met, you have all of your note cards and you're at the bar working on stuff right up to the last minute.
Yep.
And I can only assume that you're taking that home with you, and you're putting that same effort, if not more, into the jokes you're writing and the bits you're writing, and really analyzing it. It seems like you've taken a big step in that direction.
Yeah, I've tried. I know from you're talking, you guys. I never wrote a lot. I wrote ideas and I would like rehearse them, and while I'm driving or whatever. And then I was like, oh, that's a good one. And I'd leave it at that. But I think what I've done, and you said that you started doing it, is when I'm done brainstorming and rehearsing, I write it out. Mm-hmm. And then I'm also, if I write it out, I can highlight where I think jokes are, where the punchline, and then I can go, oh, there's something missing. There's a huge void. I don't have anything in here, because in my head, the way I wrote it, it's funny. But if I write it down and look at it like there's pieces missing, then I can do. So that's been like a proof check for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's definitely been happening more for us naturally, I think, too, is like you talked about earlier, the jokes per second type of thing, where it's like every 6 seconds there's laughter. It's incredible how, like, because we record every set we have for this fucking thing. The older you listen to our sets, the more spread apart the punchlines are, even though there are the same bits in there. You're like every 40, like when we first started, it was like every minute and a half there was a punchline. Wayne was like two, because Wayne, I think, did 3 bits his first time, and there were 3 punchlines. So there were, that was when we started, and now we're kind of figuring out that when you write it out, you can see, like, I'm losing energy, and then I'm gaining it all back. I'm trying to gain it all back with a punchline, where I should really just be keeping energy there by small hits.
I think the other part of that too is we get we fall in love with those long, windy jokes that we see on that pros do with this huge, massive punchline after 2.5 minutes of an orchestrated dialogue when it should just be no. We're not at that. They can do that. We can't.
Yeah, that's actually a topic I want to touch upon down the line with you guys on a different episode. Because I have, me and Anthony had talked the other night, and I kind of had like a little bit of an epiphany when it came to joke writing, but there's also a severe roadblock in that epiphany. But we can get into that at a different time.
Tease. Yeah, Jim Jeffries is a real good example of somebody who does a single story for an hour, and you're like, holy shit. And he always has this like grand, illustrious ending that ties it all together perfectly. And that is like George Carlin level impressive. Not his new shit, but his old shit.
Who, George Carlin?
Like
I don't think he's had a lot of new shit lately.
Yeah. No, I was saying Jim Jeffries. But yeah, no, George Carlin died, as Wayne illustrated, sadly. Yeah, no, but like I just am impressed by somebody who can keep a single story so funny for so long, because I'm a crutch on my jokes keep getting shorter and shorter because I like to get a punchline in quick, and it's hard for me to. It's I say it all the time. It's like comedy's like a magic show, and it's like before I want to just show you that I know what card that you have, but a good comic is gonna string that along for a long time before they show you know.
Yeah, the other thing that I thought maybe is that story is how he does. That's just how his roadmap is. So all these bits is how it is already what he was going to do. He just connects a story with all of them, so he can follow the story, and that's how he tracks his sets. Like maybe I don't know. It's something I would think. I'm doing a joke where it's step by step by step by step by step. Something happens. And I'm trying to make the steps all connect so I don't forget. Because at the end of step 1 ends, that's where step 2 begins. So if I keep that story linear, then I can't forget the joke.
Yeah, that's a very good possibility. That's why in my beginning I was doing a lot of that. We talked about that because I found story-type jokes easier because I knew at certain points, I was like, okay, I'm going to say this at this point. I know where I am and where I need to go. My fear of smaller jokes was, did I do that one yet? You know?
Yeah, and when I first started doing smaller jokes, I worried about the same thing. And then more and more I've been doing the smaller jokes, I realized that they kind of fit into groups with each other.
Yeah.
Like I'll have like 4 small jokes about kids. I'm like, oh, well, I mean, with a little bit of work, that kind of seamlessly goes together, so it feels like a single topic. But it's really 5 of my jokes put together. So I've been trying to do that more too. I make everything like I hate stopping a premise and just starting it to something else, even though pros do it all the time. Like you see pro comics do that constantly where there's no actual segue in. But I really been trying to focus on segues, getting from if I'm going to do small jokes, I want the audience to feel like it's not small jokes. Like I saw, I've mentioned it before, the Bill Burr 5 minutes that Wayne sent me a while ago, where it was a 5-minute showcase that he did. And I know that there was a lot of individual bits in there, but he did it all one premise, and it was awesome.
Yeah, that's a fun thing to try to do. That's one of the fun parts of I think, putting bits together. It's almost like a puzzle, and rearranging them, and maybe you go into a mic and you go, I'm going to do these 4 jokes, but you know what? I'm going to take this one out because I can segue into that, and then out of it into this one, and that's kind of a fun puzzle.
I think for a while I was doing open mics the wrong way, meaning I would, all right, I want to do this joke. And instead of going and doing a bunch of jokes at open mics and going, all right, this joke from that night worked, this joke from that night worked, and then going, how do I make these jokes connect? I was just writing so that my set connects no matter what. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
I would take a premise that I have and go, well, I'm going to make something out of it that I can somehow go into it.
This week's episode of Open Mic Pain brought to you by Autistic Clips.
Autistic Clips! Are you sick of going to get your hair cut and making small talk with the stupid, able-minded person cutting your hair behind the counter with all the intricacies and waves that they cut through? Well, here at Autistic Clips, we get all that. Please get your hair cut by a person that has a ball of yarn suspended above his head in order to keep him occupied, so they do not stab you in the neck with the scissors. Because at Autistic Clips, we are here to cut your hair silently. We only do bowl cuts. That's the only thing that autistic people will do. Autistic Clips.
Anthony, improvements over the last 5 months?
Yeah, so I think that the biggest part that I've improved on is because Justin mentioned it actually probably 5 months ago, was if I did a joke too long, I had a real rehearsed feel to it, where I was reading out of a book basically as I was going. And I think I've gotten a lot better at snapping myself out of that. And a lot of it, to be honest, has come to strategically placing new bits in my sets so that I have to think a lot more in the moment.
Yeah, kind of be on your toes.
If you do, yeah, I mean, when we did the burn set for so long, I mean, I did the same set like fucking 20 times in a row. So by the time I get to the 20th, I wasn't thinking at all about the set. I was just looking at the crowd and wondering how they were taking in the set. And when you're thinking that way, you're not actually in the moment in the joke trying to pitch it to them. You're just like, oh, I wonder how this is going. And now I have like 3 to 4 new bits that I'm doing, and I'm really trying to place my known bits around them. That way I gotta, all right, that new bit's coming, so I really gotta make sure my segue is right into it. And you're thinking a lot more in the moment, pitching it better. So I definitely think I've gotten better at that. I hope I have at least. And yeah, I think I've gotten worse too in time a little bit. I think that there's like, it's like the stock market. I've gone down in certain areas too. Like, I think I wrote a lot more in the first 4 months than I wrote now. Like, if I look at my joke book, there's probably the same thing for you too, I imagine, Wayne, is we wrote like 50, not saying the quality stuff, but we wrote like 50 times the stuff in the beginning. And
I think if we look back on our when we had Nick Powell on the podcast, and he said his question, I don't know if you saw that one, Justin, but his question was, at the end of 2024, what's a goal you guys have? And my goal was I wanted to have, and I said, or he said, how many minutes do you want to have? How many good minutes do you want? And my answer was, I want to have 20. I think in my head, that's a doable goal. He didn't shit on me, but he said, you're writing a lot right now, but give it a few months when you start running out of ideas and they come slower and slower. It's going to be harder to do. And I think I'm in the same boat as Anthony. I don't write new jokes nearly as much as I did, or at least have come up with new premises. So,
and then you see someone like Louis who talks about going and having, so he had a headlining tour to do in March, and he had no act in the end of December. So he wrote an hour in 3 months, and it was just taking ideas and going up and just working on 20 minutes and putting it aside and doing that. So it's possible to do that at a really, really high level. It then goes back to the whole, like, I feel like it's the fucking elephant Grim Reaper in the room, which is how many times a week do you need to go up to progress at a professional level? What is that? What's the number? You want to say a low number. You want to say like, I can do it by going 2 to 3 times a week. I can go at whatever highest level my potential is. That's how I can hit it. And then you see some people that do 25 shows a month, like book shows and stuff like that. And you're like, man, maybe it takes more.
Yeah.
You know, that it just takes time to get to.
I think it's instead of how many times does it take. I think more of I can't go to a mic a night, and I can't. I have instead of like I'm going to 2 mics a week, 3 mics a week. It's I want to. My new goals are per month. I want to hit X amount of mics per month. So if I have an off week, I can make it up and whatever. But other thing, just like the times away from the mic, I think I have underappreciated leading up over the past couple of weeks when we've been talking about it. As I haven't been getting better in that regard. So I've been trying to get more comfortable and confident on stage. So going to a bunch of mics, that's how it happens. But my stuff isn't getting better. So now I'm trying to get better when I'm away from a mic.
Mm-hmm.
We need like a comedy club out here, like a fucking, like a comedy store in California or something, where we do open mics for a while, and you get to a point where there's a place that you can literally work at Thursday through Sunday. And even if you're doing doorman stuff and then you're getting sets at night or something, at least there's a structure to it. Like, think about if you're fucking Austin, Texas right now, there is a path. Like, the path is simple. You do all the open mics around, and you keep sending your tape to Rogan's Club until they let you be a door guy there. And then you work your way, like, there's something there. Us, like, think about how every comic, Louis and all those guys started were doing clubs eventually. They were working a similar club a lot of the time. He ended up doing California and New York stuff, but what do we have that equivalates to that? Like, where's a place that we can go? Yeah, I work there 2 shows a night, Thursday through Sunday, and they're a club that has shows all the time. Like, I know Laugh Boston has that, but it's not like we're in the ballpark of being involved in that.
No, but at the same time, those guys also went to those places. So it's not like everyone had a place to go in Boston. So Louis or those guys, they went to New York. They went to L.A. So I do think, though, I forget, Wayne said it months ago about, like, yeah, we're walking into a time when comedy is really buzzing in our area, and I didn't notice it. I just assumed it's what it was, but I'm noticing more places opening up, and we've only been doing it for 9 months.
It's true.
I mean, I'm not stumbling upon new places that I just didn't know existed. There's places that are opening a lot. So I think if anything, that would be something that's, I mean, I don't know enough about the comedy business, how that works in a market, but there's notably more stuff going on, and it hasn't been that long.
Now, that's kind of my weird, like, I want to call it my daydream right now. That's a good way to call it. Like, I'm window shopping for a comedy club. Because I think, like, imagine if someone just went, hey, this is not like a bar that has comedy sometimes. This is not a Chinese restaurant that puts a stage in it. This is a comedy club. This is going to say comedy, the shop on the sign, and whatever, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, or wherever the hell the case may be, that tries to bring up comics that are, the Comedy Store, Jay Leno and stuff started there. Wasn't Jay Leno until he was at the Comedy Store. They made him into what he was. So I think Boston, with how much buzz we have going on right now, has the potential to do something with that. Comedy is, like, we were on Jacques' podcast, and he was talking about during the pandemic he wanted to start or something, and there was one mic he could find, and he couldn't find other mics. And you're like, man, just in a couple years, there's 50.
Hey, which one of you guys has a fucking anvil in the dryer?
Yeah, is that Wayne? Is that your shit,
that's
dude?
me. So
my God.
It's the rain.
I was wondering the whole time. I didn't want to shit on Justin. I was like, man, fucking goddamn.
I'll fix it in post.
Yeah, just get the roll of quarters out of your dryer, will you?
God damn. Everybody excuse Wayne. He set up that fucking banner in a tunnel in Gaza.
Jesus.
I At first, I thought you listened to some like metal techno Euro stuff with the same beat in the background. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing?
He's doing laundry and he
No,
fucking
it's,
left.
no, it's raining. It's raining pretty good where I am, and it's rain hitting my bulkhead.
Rain hitting your bulkhead?
Yeah.
Damn.
Is your neighbor named Rain?
That's the beginning of the episode, folks. Yeah, Wayne would have. So it's tough because Wayne looks like he would have prisoners in his basement for sure. Like you could typecast him as that, but also like he could get the shit beaten out of him by like a 12-year-old girl. So it's a hard factor where he'd have to use like chemical dependence or something to take down a guy named Rain to hide in his basement. It's trying to slam out of a locked cupboard.
We already you already pointed at the top of the hour that Neckbeard present is usually identified as a serial killer with people in the basement also.
And I have 3 first names.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
We both do.
Wow. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a murderer. Damn, you're a murderer even if you don't even know it yet. Like you,
maybe
this is your whole life.
So that was one of my questions for both of you was going to be something Anthony already touched upon, but it was do you feel like you regressed in any way? So I mean, Anthony and I kind of talked about that. But how about you, Justin? Do you feel like you've regressed at all?
I think I've regressed because I like lost like a direction, I guess, if that makes sense. It's kind of lame to say it, but I regress where I guess like stagnant, so that some things are obviously going to regress. I think I've also, I mean, just for like these couple of weeks, so obviously I haven't been going as much. Actually, I took 3 weeks, 2 weeks off. I wanted to increase. My frequency. I wanted to go up more. But I also think I haven't been networking as much and trying to talk to more people because I think what I'm doing is I'm seeing you guys at the safe, so I hang out with you at the safe. Hey, what's going on? Whatever, and I'll bounce around, and then I see Terrence that I met from Worcester, and I go to Worcester and I talk to him. So I mean, I'm talking to other people, but I'm not. I don't think I'm meeting as many people as I should, and not like meeting them so I get shows. Just know more people that do comedy.
Yeah, it's a good point. I'm a Facebook friend request whore. If I see somebody that I remotely recognize, I'll friend request them. But a lot of the times I leave it at that, unless it's somebody that I've spoken to at a show. But yeah, I don't know. I do interact a little bit on Facebook posts and stuff, and that that way, if I ever see those people, I have a reason to say hi. But,
oh yeah, you're a little cumwagon, don't you be coy on Facebook. Oh my God, you fucking! If you're doing comedy, Wayne is gonna ejaculate that shit on a post for you.
Well, one of the things I like to do is I do want to be supportive. I'm constantly liking and sharing shows for people I don't even fucking know. I don't know. I think it's important to get as many eyes on shows, so there are more shows. If there are more people going to shows, there's going to be more shows, and I think it's just good for comedy in general. I'm not saying that my posts are making people go to shows all the time, but maybe there's 1 or 2 people that go, "Oh shit, I didn't know that was going on," and they buy a ticket. I think that's good for comedy in general. So what's it take me, like 4 seconds to share a post?
Yeah, and if you save one starving kid in Africa, it's all worth it. I get it. But social media, we've all always said, man, and I want to beat you up when you talk like that. When you talk like the world is a golden oyster, like you're like, oh, we should all kumbaya, touch our hands together. I like violence, Wayne. Let's be pessimistic. Let's be petty. Let's talk about all the comics we don't like. Let's talk about all the shows that we should have been booked on, but we're too... Well, in our, like right now, let's say that we're too great and they're just not noticing yet, but internally we're insecure about how bad we are. Let's do all that. Why are we being so positive? Did you scratch the top of your head audibly with the fucking brim of your hat?
Yes,
I heard that. I heard that. It sounded like you were shellacking a wall and you had to fucking fine it down. God damn. Wow. Did you hear that, Justin?
I heard something, but my dog was being a pain in the ass. I had to chase him up.
He's like,
oh,
that was the exact noise that he just made on the top of his fucking head.
Oh, shit.
Wonder why you're bald. You're like, why am I bald?
It sounded like you did this.
Yeah, he did. He put 160 grit sandpaper on the top of his head. And he's like, for some reason, I got no hair up there. Damn, I always wondered how.
Moving on.
Moving. Fuck you.
Justin, I don't think I don't know if you'll have much to say on this, but in the last episode we talked about a couple of our goals. I took down a note for two of them. One of them was Anthony. You said 5 months ago that you would like to write a 5-minute single premise joke. But you've gone quite the opposite, I believe. Have you done that behind the scenes that I don't know about? Or do you still find that goal something you want to do?
No, I mean, so here's the thing. Yes, in the sense of I have 5 minutes of kids' jokes that I did across a set once that all interconnected in a way that I would consider them to be a premise. It was about having a newborn. It was the whole process of that led up to it. So, I mean, I think in the end, that's how I'm going to write a single premise 5-minute joke. Like, I don't know if I'm going to go, hey, this is this story, and I want to do it out that long. I will say, too, though, I did also do the Macarena joke on mushrooms thing there.
Yeah.
I think that was 5 minutes, wasn't it?
No.
For sure I just did that bit.
No.
It wasn't?
No, I think it was like a minute and a half, 2 minutes of your joke. Of your set, rather.
It had to be at least 2.5 minutes because it felt like 10.
I mean,
so
maybe you're on mushrooms. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
it wasn't.
Yeah, true.
Can I pick your brain? Why did you want to have a joke on a 5-minute with a 5-minute premise? Like, what was because you wanted to see if you could do it, because if you wanted to see if you could write it, just remember it, hang it, like.
It's really uncomfortable so I can remember it, no problem, but it's really uncomfortable for me to stay on a certain topic for a long time. Like when I know, like all my jokes, I feel really comfortable in the setup when there's not a lot of laughter because I know the punchline's right behind it and it's going to bring it up. When I have a longer joke that I got to keep people interested in, I'm so uncomfortable because when it's not going well, I'm like, oh, well, it's fucking 4 minutes until I get to what is going to be the grand finale of this. So I wanted to figure out how to, like, Wayne's Dick Talk bit is a great example of a 5-minute set that takes you through a range of emotions. And he's just talking about the same thing the whole time. But he's doing it in a way that wears it out, brings it back. It goes through the whole gauntlet. And I have nothing that's in that regard. Like, everything I have is like an open and closed textbook for the most part. Like, a great example is on your, I don't know, is it called the suicide bit? Or is there, I don't know what, it's not veteran, is that bit, right? It's disconnected from that?
The suicide bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's separate.
Yeah, separate bit. Yeah, exactly. So that bit is also, I'm not saying it's 5 minutes, but it's long enough where, again, you take the energy real low in that one, and then you bring it up towards it. And I really like that. Like, I the first time I heard that joke, that was my first thought that I had was, holy shit, that's cool. And yeah, I haven't done something like that yet.
I think
I've just been stitching together bits.
That's been my preferred way to close. Is my longer laugh breaks are in that longer setup with a closed punchline to end it, and then that's it. So if I get the laughs going first, get a good funny premise going middle, and then the end one close with a long out draw to grab attention, and then hit him at the end, hopefully.
You know what's something I want to work on too, that I really didn't think would be an issue, but the more I do comedy, the more I realize. What'd you say?
Your last name?
Yeah, holy shit. Yeah, I'm going to work on that. I've been thinking about it. Like, Tony V, can I be Tony E?
Yeah.
Would he be pissed
How
off?
about-
He'd probably be pissed off.
Anthony E.
I was thinking Mr. E. Get it like mystery? Kind of like Mr. E. I got it.
Oh.
Yeah, fuck me. All right, see, that's why you gotta stick with just the name that everybody's gonna fuck up.
Well, stick with what you were saying. You were saying something and I cut you off.
Yeah, I know, you piece of fucking goddamn veteran shit.
Well, things you wanted to, something that you didn't
Oh
think
yeah,
you'd have to
get better
improve
at. So, for a while, I thought I was being coy by doing my darkest shit, be like the last thing I say, and then I'm like, I'm Anthony. Fuck you guys. Walk off stage. And, like I did that with the transgender bits. I would do that. Like whenever I had something, I'm like, it's dark. I should just do that last. So it's the last thing I walk off on. I realized that that's a chicken shit thing to do that I've been doing for a while. And that I need to more. I know you don't do it first because you got to warm up crowds and stuff like that. But I feel like if I'm going to say something, I want to face them. I want to face the laugh or the silence and end on something more fun. Yeah, I don't think I've been doing that. I think a lot of the time I'm like, what's my fucking, the thing I'm scared the most to say. So that's why when we went recently all together, the place that Justin was talking about there, we went to Tempo. I went up and I was like, I'm going to warm them up with California Sober, and then I'm doing a pedophile bit right off the bat. Like right when I get them to that level. I'm not going to end on it because exactly. If I did it a month ago, that would have been the last bit I did. And I would have been like, and I fuck kids, bye. But there, I did it quick right away because I wanted to face it. Wanted to see what came from it. And it was the best laugh I got on the set. So there was something to be learned there. But yeah, I don't think any of you guys do it. Do you do that, Wayne? Have you ever done that where you're like nervous about a bit and so you do it so it's the last word you say? Because I've done it like 4 times.
No, I mean, you've seen me do some heinous shit over the last 5 months. And like that whole Chris Benoit joke that I was doing, I put that smack dab in the middle every time. You
did, yeah. That's a good point. You never really thought about.
The reason is I find I kind of like the discomfort on stage a little bit. I feel like it keeps me on my toes.
Well, that's good. I fucking hate it.
But there obviously there's times where it just doesn't work. But
I never mind that you changed it. I don't know if I would have noticed that. I think that's the fact that you noticed that you save something to make that your uncomfortable joke you'll close with, so that way you can go bye, and then you don't have to deal with anything afterwards. Is something kind of, I don't know if I would have noticed that.
Yeah, but it was pretty on purpose. Like I've said the joke on every podcast that we've ever done, basically. But the Bud Light joke I had that was, I always thought it was a watered down flavor that would take out Bud Light. Turns out it took a watered down woman. Always last. If I ever said that, it was the last thing I said because every time people would get.
That's a nice one to end on, though. Like that unless you have the blue hair, as we say. That's a fun, quick little zinger. That's a nice one to end on. It's just a quick little bit.
I wish I opened with it though, because I want to do that and be like, all right, that set the fucking tempo, let's go, or something like that, or at least after one warm up joke. I just wish I tried stuff so I knew. How do you know if because that how and this is a good point. I'm talking like I'm retarded. This is a good point at fucking in the beginning when we were doing that stuff and I did that bit at the end. I was really unconfident in it. I would ask you all the time, like, is that bit good? Like, isn't that the end? And you'd always say, yeah, it's amazing. It's like Norm Macdonald. It's so funny. But I never let the crowd tell me it was funny. So that's what I got to do. You got to see it in there.
On the flip side of what you said, for a goal, my goal was I wanted smaller jokes. And I feel like I've really, really worked on that. I stopped doing the longer premises or longer jokes on premises and tried to focus on minute and a half jokes. And I feel like I've done pretty well at that. I could definitely do better. I always want to stretch it out a lot longer than necessary, but I feel like I've done pretty well on that.
Well, it's a good question. Give me your top 1 minute joke right now. What's the name of it?
Top 1 minute joke?
Yep. You said you worked really hard on getting 1 minute jokes.
Well,
calling you out. What's your 1 minute joke?
Probably the Boston racism joke. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's only a minute. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good joke. Have you ripped that in the last 4 months?
Yeah. Yeah, I started doing that right around the time right around.
Well, that's also isn't that if you don't know now you know still.
Yeah,
Oh, all right, yeah. You didn't someone call it out on you?
they did. Yeah, we'll talk about that at another time as well.
Wayne's such a tease this fucking podcast. God damn. Make sure you check into the next one where he talks about the good shit. Where he's been trying to get someone to say the N-word for fucking 2 months now, and he finally got it to happen.
So I guess we'll start wrapping this one up. Before we go to my final topic, we had a little time capsule on the last, Anthony's idea. When you watch this episode, the 4-month check-in episode, in 4 or 5 months from now, what do you want to say to yourself? And we both kind of had the same thing, which was essentially kind of be on at least a booked show. And we both have done that. Justin, you've done that as well. So we checked that box. I think at this point, we can all agree that we still want that, but for different reasons. I think back then, for me and Anthony, it was kind of naive. Like we just want to be on a poster or whatever. Now we just want a real crowd. we just want a real crowd to work stuff out on. So assuming we'll probably do this again in another 4 or 5 months, Justin, we'll start with you. What improvements do you want to make for yourself in your comedy career over the next, we'll call it 4 to 6 months?
I want to keep doing how I'm doing. Well, I want to be as enthusiastic, but I want more organized structure to how I'm doing it, and look at it more in a technical way, because I think getting my feet wet the first phase. That phase is over, and I know that's what I got to do on the next level, and just stay the course. Don't let one of these slumps happen and not address it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I guess for me. And then, Anthony, I'll let you answer, and you can take your time and take us out after. My goals, I definitely want to spend more time physically writing out my jokes. I was doing that 5 months ago, and I've slowly turned into, while I'm driving, every once in a while I'll start practicing one of my jokes, and I will do it a few times and just change it little bit as time goes on. And once I do that enough times, I'll go in and I'll just write it out. But I never try to punch it up after the fact, actually looking at the words. I want to do that more. I had a really good system, I felt, that I ditched, and I shouldn't have. I still want to get on more actual shows strictly for the audience, to see how the jokes work in front of real people. And then I want to go see more comedy in general, whether it's professional touring comedians or local comedians. I want to do more of the networking and just see how people who do it on a higher level than me do it, and try to learn from them.
Cool. Well, hi, 6-month future self. What is it? Was it Easter right now? You enjoying Easter? Is Jesus still fake? Probably is, right? Probably by now, hopefully, they've disclosed aliens are real. If Joe Biden isn't dead. Really, we gotta say that every time we do this. If Joe Biden isn't dead, future Anthony, he has most likely told the world that aliens are amongst us and we have their craft. So, you're probably not doing comedy anymore. You're probably naked.
Oh, so we're doing what we actually think.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we're doing realistic capsules? Okay.
Yeah, Wayne didn't set you up properly for that.
My bad.
He said the time capsule, then he said, what do you want to improve on? I was like, you just asked him 2 different things.
No, I wasn't going to. I brought up the time capsule, and then my question
Why'd you bring up the time capsule if you didn't want to have us end on the time capsule? I'm talking to future Anthony right now, and he even is fucking pissed. I even know how pissed he is at you right now. God damn it. I hope he's holding your fucking spine attached to your skeleton like a fucking predator. God damn it. This has been a fine step in the fucking quest for laughs. There we go. Did you scratch the top of your head audibly with the fucking brim of your hat? I heard that. I heard that.